I didn't think this through. I'm gonna probably have to edit this part. You know what? I won't. I won't edit this part. I'm just gonna. Hey, one of my mutuals. What's up, Bon Bon? Debate hasn't started yet. It's supposed to start at 6 between the two of us. I'm excited because I'll finally get this out of the way. Make sure that my... Which light color should I use? Nah, I don't like that one. I might use this one. I don't think it's going to be a decimation. I think if anything, it's probably going to be... Because like at the end of every debate, you know, it's... I don't really think there's necessarily a winner. I understand that other people do. But, like even with the debate that I had earlier, like even if there was a winner and it was him, there would still be people going over from my TikTok. There'll still be people from my TikTok going over his saying, Eli smashed you, Eli destroyed you. And it happens with everybody's fan base. It happens. I just hope that it's better than the one I had earlier. I just hope it's better than the one I had earlier today. Yeah, let's take that filter off. I don't like that. I don't like that light. What? Let me see what it looks like without that. I kind of like that. Yeah, I had a debate earlier today about on abortion. Really, the only thing that I don't think she might have with her following. Her following is comparable to his somewhat. Actually, I think he's back now. He got his account back. Or he like started his account back up or whatever. Did that say call me Chris entered? Because if that did, oh my god. Chris saw me? Love her videos. But, yeah. I don't think, I feel like everybody has, like, no offense to anybody, but I feel like every, like, college girl or girl that was in college, because this is my fiance, this is not mine. And Tifa Cobb, you need to stop. You need to stop. You need to stop with that. That was so funny, though. Like, I just want to say something. Like, Antifa Cog, this guy, he's in here right now, he's one of my mutuals. This guy wipes the floor with people like BENPOLITICS and Tyler Bluntman on, like, a daily. And they, like, never respond to him, ever. And it's funny. We were totally getting into some Law and Order SVU. We were totally... Wait, what? Did he quote? Did he quote Adolf? Don't tell me. I mean, I know he's got that whole. I know he's on that whole like stance of like, oh, the Civil Rights Act should be repealed because intellectual freedom. I mean, not intellectual. What did I say? I'm stupid. Because of property rights. Like, I was like, huh? Like, the with abortions being banned and shit, and then people making that take, that those two things together pissed me off. Because the thing is, these kind of things are really what makes me want to go and debate people, because when they go unchecked and when they go like I hate it when leftists say, oh, I'm just gonna ignore this person, he's got a toxic fan base. No, don't do that, because here's the thing, that right-winger is suffering nothing from what they're saying, but the people that suffer from what they're saying are the rest of us. Like, you're right. I do gotta stop letting people talk all over me. I just figure like, oh, they'll be done eventually, and I can like probably get a point out. Yeah, things like that have to be challenged, and it's up to those of us who know that those things are wrong and who know that those things will have disastrous, not even necessarily that they're wrong, because by that same logic, pro-lifers can challenge us and our stance because they objectively think we're wrong. But it is up to us to realize when something is going to have a disastrous consequence on society, and that's when we have to challenge it. Like, that's what I think about whenever I make a video or response to somebody, or whenever I make a video that is about a certain topic. I try to think how my words and the things that I say have power with other people, and how the things that I say might affect the world around me. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go turn the TV off in the bedroom. Okay, I'm back. I'm surprised nobody left while I was gone. Yeah, I did try very hard to keep him on topic. Like, the thing with abortion is that, in my opinion, you cannot argue morality when it comes to abortion. You're just not gonna get anywhere with it. Don't worry, for those of you who missed out on the debate earlier, or any of my past debates, my YouTube channel is in the description. It's in my bio. It's in my bio right next to the follow button. You'll see the Instagram. Excuse me. You'll see the Instagram sign. Hit that, and then my YouTube link will pop. My YouTube and my Instagram links will pop up. Just hit the YouTube link and go subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. Like, I better see all 27 people who are in here right now. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel, if they aren't already. But yeah, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna promote that more on here, mainly when it starts to get more of a following. Mainly when I start to get more of a following on YouTube, because I've noticed that, like, not only do I have people that actually like me following me, but I also have a lot of people who hate me that follow me for whatever reason, and I think it's mainly because they want to shit on my videos. Excuse me, sorry. But debriefing afterwards. Yeah. That's I always try to self-reflect on the things I say and what I do. I always try to, like, if I ever upload a video where it seems like where you go, what? I was probably baked when I recorded it. Just so you know, the majority of the time I edit and I proofread what I wrote, what I've said, or whatever, and make sure it's good enough to be released out into the public before I just come out and say just any old thing. Like, I think, like, it is not uncommon for me to sit there and listen to a video 5 times before I actually hit the post button. But like I was saying, there are a lot more people that I feel like that are just so hell-bent on being a troll and that think that they're making my life miserable. There we go. All right, so we're about to go live now.
Sorry, I lost track of time. But I'm on time basically anyways. All right.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Loud and clear.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Let us, when you're ready. Why? Okay, whatever. It's just a cat here.
Okay, so you said you didn't want to talk about, like, the morality of abortion. You just wanted to talk about, like, if it's immoral, if it should be banned.
I don't want to talk about morality. I want to talk about ways in which I think that banning abortion isn't actually going to really do anything to solve abortion. If you think abortion is an issue that needs to be solved, I think instead what we should do is we should improve people's living conditions and people's living situations, and we should just improve the world around us. And as we do that, things will just start to fall in line, including things such as abortion and abortion rates. I don't believe that banning abortion, because there's actual empirical data that shows us that banning abortion doesn't really do much to actually lower abortion rates like so many pro-lifers think it does, but rather supporting progressive policies actually is what helps lower abortion rates.
So, like, what, for example, what empirical data?
There have actually there's just been many articles and many sources out there that state that that banning abortions doesn't actually lower abortion rates, but when you support things such as free and accessible contraceptives and birth control, when you support things such as comprehensive sex education, so sex education to where not even just kids, but people with grown-ups in general, because there are a lot of grown-ups who are not, who even though they do engage in the action, they are not very educated. They're not very educated enough within the action itself, so they still don't fully like understand certain things. But just educating people to where they can understand the topic of intercourse. And also, I believe raising people's wages will also help, because when people actually have the financial means to take care of themselves, they will also possibly think twice about aborting a fetus or a child, because now they have the financial means to take care of one, I think, at least. And comprehensive sex education, contraceptives, what is it? Raising minimum wage. Yeah, the things like that are what I think will actually help to potentially make an impact in the abortion rates and actually help lower abortion rates. If someone thinks that they are that is something that needs to be addressed, needs to be fixed, needs to be altered in any way.
All right, but like specifically, I was asking like specifically for empirical data,
Okay.
like because you're saying there's empirical data for that, but I haven't really seen any.
So let me go ahead and do you want me to like post it in chat? Do you want me to like how do you want me to show it to you? I mean, there's no way I can really like.
Do you have like a computer with you?
Yeah, I can go get my computer. Hold on a sec. Take this as it is. Make sure that everything is on. Come on. There we go. There we go. Wait for it to. There we go. Come on. There we go. And then. Okay, so there are many things that state ways in which we can help lower well, hold on, let me turn down the sound. There we go. So the vast majority of abortions are a result of unplanned pregnancies, according to the CDC. Its data shows the number of unintended pregnancies decreased from 51% in 2008 to 45% between 2011 and 2013. Noting that more women using contraception and more effective forms of contraceptives like intrauterine devices might be factors, and that is from USA Today.
So if I'm stating this correctly, there was a substantial decrease from 2011 to 2013, correct?
Say it one more time.
So there was a substantial decrease in abortions from 2011 to 2013, right?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily substantial, but it's worth noting, yes.
I mean, substantial comparatively speaking. Like, obviously, there hasn't been like huge overall drops.
Right, but it's still a dip nonetheless.
Right. That's what I was asking. So between 2011 and 2013, more abortion restrictions were passed in the United States than the entire previous 10 years. So, I mean, I can I can use that exact same data to support my view.
I mean, you could very well use that, but there's also other data that states um, another thing. Like I said, a focus on comprehensive sex education was also a factor. Um, Between 2006 and 2015, the abortion rate for girls between 15 and 19 plummeted by 54%. Teen pregnancy rates were also down, reaching record low in 2017. And the CDC says evidence suggests that more teens are abstaining from sex and that more teens who are sexually active are using birth control, which comes from comprehensive sex education. Yeah, there are certain things that are like more restrictive laws, but I don't think that outright banning abortion is going to like you think that abortion should be banned, correct?
Yeah,
Why do you think that abortion should be banned?
I believe it's equivalent to murder
What makes you say it is equivalent to murder?
because it's killing an innocent human being.
Okay.
I mean, we're not going through the moral argument, right?
Right, we're not necessarily we're not going through the morality. I just want to know why you think that abortion should be banned. So you think that abortion should be banned because of because it'll help lower the abortion rates, even though there's also just as much data out there that states that when you actually back up things, not just impose restrictions, but when you back up things that are progressive policies, then it actually helps lower the abortion rates a lot more. And actually, there have also been other studies shown from other countries that when you ban abortion, that doesn't really prevent abortions from happening. It actually instead, all you've done is gotten rid of safe abortions or access to safe abortions.
So with the point that should we ban abortions if they're morally wrong, it doesn't necessarily matter. Like this other thing will also decrease abortions, right? The point is, should you ban abortions or not? Obviously, contraceptives decrease abortions. Like when contraceptives were first being introduced, when the pill was introduced, abortion rates dropped because unwanted pregnancy rates dropped. And yeah, I want unwanted pregnancy rates to drop because obviously, like you said, some women will try to attempt abortions illegally, and also some women will end up will be in poverty and will end up with children, and that can make things more difficult for them. So I'd rather them prevent the conception in the first place than put kids in those situations. But I also don't want them to have to abort children or feel the need to abort children. But yeah, I entirely agree that more contraceptive access would be something that would decrease abortions. That's just subjectively true. And obviously, decreasing poverty would do that as well. But the point would be, should we ban abortions? Because you can do more than one thing at once. You can ban abortions, but also work on better policies to reduce poverty. And obviously, we would disagree with that, and that's something we can talk about later on. But as far as the actual effectiveness of abortions, let me see here. So back in, I don't know if you're familiar with the whole argument that Democrat presidents reduce abortions more than Republican presidents.
I have not heard that. I do not. I am not a Democrat. I really don't.
Right.
Really don't care about. I don't necessarily. Me personally, I don't necessarily really. I should care, and I do care about what they do. But do I care about the Democratic Party objectively as for what it is? Not really. So I really don't. I don't. I don't really care about Democrat presidents or.
I won't go into the specifics of that then, but really back when abortion rates really started dropping was first like the introduction of contraception, right? And then after that, the next big point was around 1992. 1992 was when Planned Parenthood v. Casey happened, which was a Supreme Court case in which they upheld Roe v. Wade. However, they allowed for more abortion restrictions on a state level for the first trimester, or maybe it was the first and second trimesters. I'm not entirely sure.
That's probably
But
later.
the point is, they allowed for more abortion restrictions after that point, and a lot more came in several states. Let me see here. So, Michael J. New is a researcher who studies abortion and abortion statistics quite a bit. And in 2010 and then in 2014, he did two studies. Well, I wouldn't really say studies, they were more like literature reviews, because they went over, like, I don't know, it must be at least 3 dozen studies in each of the literature reviews, maybe more than that. Let me see, where is it? 2000. Hold up. Let me just find where I linked. Oh, there they are. Okay. 2010. All right. Reanalyzing the effect of anti-abortion U.S. state legislation in the post-Casey era. That's the title. So this is the abstract that I'll go over. Much of the academic literature that analyzes U.S. state level restrictions on abortion focuses on parental involvement laws and the extent to which abortion is publicly funded through Medicaid. So parental involvement laws are like, someone under 18 usually can't get an abortion without parental consent. And then restrictions on Medicaid or funding abortion through Medicaid. However, one shortcoming, let's go over talking about the court case. Okay, in this study, a series of regressions and comprehensive time series cross-sectional data set provides evidence that several types of state-level anti-abortion legislation result in statistically significant declines in both the abortion rate and the abortion ratio. Furthermore, a series of natural experiments provide further evidence that abortion restrictions are correlated with reductions in the incidence of abortion. And specifically, like you were talking about progressive policies. Let me see if I can find this. Medicaid. 2009 Guttmacher Institute, which is a pro-abortion think tank, by the way. Guttmacher Institute reviewed
from Guttmacher, yeah.
Reviewed literature, identified 18 peer-reviewed studies that analyzed the impact of state Medicare funding restrictions on the incidence of abortion. These methodological diverse studies utilized abortion data from a variety of sources. Overall, of the 18 studies they considered, 15 found significant evidence that abortions fell after Medicaid funding was reduced. So, like, I would consider Medicaid to be a progressive policy, but actually reducing Medicaid reduced the instances of abortions, and there's significant evidence for that.
So, like, is there any sort of, like... Actually, I'm not going to ask that. So, Guttmacher Institute. I'm not 100% familiar with Medicaid, but anyways, Guttmacher. I keep saying Guttmacher. Guttmacher Institute also states that providing access to safe abortions actually also helps lower abortion rates. I've seen an article from them where they stated that just providing the service to people, or at least allowing people to choose when they can have the service done, or when they can have the operation done, or when they can have the service, actually helps lower abortion rates.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what you're referring to, and I have it here somewhere. So Guttmacher did put out like a correlation study that looks at different countries and the legality of abortions in the countries, and then also compares the abortion rates. So overall, they show that abortion rates are higher in countries with more abortion restrictions. Now, but the issues I have with that is, again, it's a correlation study. It's just like a surface level thing. There's not any variables being accounted for and stuff like that. Like I don't mind using Gutmacker's data because data is data if it's good data. But some of their conclusions that they come out with on their own, I'm gonna disagree with many of them. So if we look at like countries like El Salvador, which is a commonly cited one, El Salvador had restrictions on contraceptives. And in the past, like Romania, when they banned abortion, they also banned contraceptives. And also, both of these countries were very much impoverished, or are very much impoverished. So, more impoverished countries are going to have higher abortion rates in general. So, yes, I would acknowledge that overall, looking at correlations in every single country, you would see that correlation. But I don't think it actually matters when actually accounting for the socioeconomic factors, when accounting for the education of women. I actually have a few different charts that just show countries compared with uh, contraceptive availability, um, discrepancy in education, gender equality, stuff like that. And it's the exact same correlation you'll see with the actual abortion rates and with stuff like maternal death rates. Also looking at like the actual quality of their healthcare. So I really wouldn't agree with the conclusion that just looking at these correlations, you can say that abortion laws don't work. That's why I like looking at specific studies that look at
Yeah,
specific abortion laws in
but
one
like,
place
so
and
you're
before and after.
so you advocate less for abortion to be banned and just more for restrictions on the medical practice itself.
Well, I mean, no, I think it should be completely banned, but I'm saying we can look at current restrictions and see that
Right,
even
but
small restrictions reduce abortions. And
right,
so,
and
like, logically, banning it would reduce abortions.
you say that logically, that banning it logically would lead to fewer abortions.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to disagree simply because like we've seen it before in history where just banning them again doesn't actually help to lower doesn't actually help to lower the abortion rates. All you've done is just gotten rid of like safe abortions. So
But,
even
like, what would be a specific example where the banning of abortion or restricting abortion either didn't affect the abortion rate or increased it? And solely that, not anything like banning contraceptives, because I'm completely against that. That's a terrible idea. Um, just banning abortions. Can you think of like any specific examples?
let me find it. It happened. Uh, no, this is the wrong one. This is the wrong one. Give me 1 second. I just want to. I don't know if it was in. Hold on. Um, I think it was this one. Was it this one? God damn it! Stop. No. Hold on. Oh shoot. I believe it happened in Romania. Hold on. I can't seem to find it now, but I used it in a video like a while ago. But there are many countries like within like South America, etc., in which abortions are banned, but yet these countries have like some of the highest abortion rates um, because people don't have access to because people don't have access to safe abortions.
So, Romania, foreignpolicy.com. There's an article that comes up. In 1966, the leader of Romania, Nicolae, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last
Yeah,
name,
I think it's that one.
outlawed access
He
outlawed
banned
access
abortion,
to
but
abortion and contraception. So, like, naturally, yes, banning contraceptives will increase abortion rates. The average number of children born to Romanian women jumped from 1.9% to 3.7%. So yeah, it increased the overall like amount of children because they had no contraceptives.
because
And
literally you've given them no choice but to have children. Like, if you were to say that, how do I say this? If you were to say that banning abortions but keeping contraceptives would limit abortions, like that really, like that's what you're saying, right? Keep contraceptives but limit abortions, right?
yeah, not only keep contraceptives, but I want more free market for contraceptives. I want less restrictions on contraceptives because that gets more access to them in general.
Okay, so that in that article, with what happened in Romania, what actually happened was the richer, more excuse me, the more like upper class women were the ones that were able to go and get abortions. Meanwhile, the poorer people were not necessarily able to go get abortions. If I remember correctly, the richer women could actually pay to go out of state to go do it, to go get the procedure done, what have you. So it's just in a way it like it disenfranchises like poorer and more underprivileged communities when you just say ban abortions but keep contraceptives, because the thing is women are just going to, even if you ban them, women are just going to get them anyway is the thing. They're just going to get them anyway. So why not just push things forward? Let them like we said with the Gut Matcher Institute, and we've agreed on the Gut Matcher Institute. Why not just push things forward that would, and if you want to protect the unborn, why not push things forward that will improve the lives of people and make them more likely to have a child? Like, did you know that of the developed world, like the U.S. has one of the highest both infant mortality rates, if not the highest, and we also have one of, if not the highest, maternity mortality rates as well, in comparison with the developed world. Like, if I were a woman in the U.S., I would honestly be scared of getting pregnant and would be scared to be forced to give birth when um, there's not a chance that I will be able to survive the pregnancy. And I think that women should be able to make that choice themselves, whether or not they decide they're going to literally give themselves up to another entity, um, give themselves up to another entity. Uh, yeah, just to give themselves up to another entity. I don't think she should have to. I don't think she should have to do that if she doesn't want to.
Now, I agree with you on not the last point, like the point you just made, but right before that when you talked about fear. Yeah, I agree with that. Women look at those statistics and that gives them fear. However, the thing is, those aren't really real, right? Like infant mortality rate, if you're looking at just like surface level infant mortality or infant mortality rate as reported by each country, then the US is comparatively low as far as first world countries goes, but there's several issues with that. Like in most European countries like Germany, Austria, and France, a baby isn't even considered alive at birth if it weighs under like 1.1 pounds, right? Some countries like Cuba, they don't even consider the baby alive until they don't count it in these statistics. I mean, like they're alive, but as far as the statistics go, they're not alive. They don't even count them alive until like 26 weeks after they're born. And this is like very consistent among other countries. Also in the US, we count disabled babies a lot more than many other countries. They like to pretend disabled babies aren't alive and they don't exist in statistics. So, yes, our infant mortality rate appears to be lower. But if you just like Google
I said
U.S. infant mortality myth,
I said it was
you'll see
higher.
dozens of articles come up that explain this and go over
I said
how
it was.
different countries.
I said it was. It
What's
was.
that?
I said it was higher, not that it was
Oh
lower.
yeah. Higher, yeah. Well, yeah. Mortality higher. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
So
Um,
because other countries don't count babies that have been born as being alive.
yeah, like let's say a newborn baby is born in like France and it weighs like 1 pound, right? And then it dies like an hour later. That's not counted in the statistics at all. It didn't exist as far as the statistics go. The infant mortality rate just
Where
didn't
does may I
exist. Not
ask
there.
may I ask where this is where you got that information from?
All right, hold on. How France counts.
Yeah, that's 1 week longer.
All right, so there's a CDC article entitled "Behind International Rankings of Infant Mortality Rate: How the United States Compares with Europe." And I believe this one goes over explanations on how, let's see, explanations on how some of these countries, yeah, right here, reporting requirements, all live births at 12 weeks of gestation, live births at 500 grams.
Okay.
Here's France, live births at
What did you
22
say that
weeks of
was? What
gestation.
did you say that was? You said that was
The
what was that?
CDC,
No, what was that like article or whatever called?
behind international rankings of infant mortality.
Infant mortality. Okay. Well, keep going what you were saying. I just want to look at it as well.
Yeah, so that's my points on like the infant mortality rate. I think we should correct stuff like this and stop scaring people. Like we shouldn't have women scared into wanting to have abortions when they shouldn't be because of false statistics. We shouldn't scare people with false statistics, which happens way too much on both the right and the left, really.
I think,
The other thing was
like, I don't believe
you
in
mentioned.
calling abortion and calling abortion murder. I believe that that's a fear tactic often used by the right um, to scare people or try to demonize women who get the procedure done.
Well, I think it depends on context. Depends on who I'm talking to, what kind of language I'm going to use. If I'm talking to someone who's like, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting an abortion," I'm not going to be like, "Oh, you disgusting murderer," blah 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 blah. And then also, like people who've had abortions, I like to treat them with kindness. I've talked to a lot of girls who have had abortions, like on the subject, like whether it was right or wrong for them to do that, and that's definitely something you got to be very careful with. And I try to explain this to people because some people are just way too nasty. Um, because like not only do they have like they can have like mental health side effects from that, but just like call straight up calling someone a murderer and trying to explain like, oh, actually you are a murderer, even though you didn't really know what was going on at the time. Like maybe they were younger. Often most women, honestly, I would say most women don't even know that a fetus is alive, like biologically, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous on the part of our education system. That shouldn't be a thing. In fact, in states and areas that
I mean,
require
science tells you that
doctors.
life begins at conception, and I remember learning that life begins
Huh?
I mean, the
I mean,
like,
you learned it. I mean, that's great that you learned it, but I mean, apparently most people
I don't
don't
think
because most people are shocked to learn that.
I don't believe that I don't really believe that there is any sort of like value or worth in that, or at least me personal. Now, me personally.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, lots of you'd be surprised
women
at
do
how
what
many
they
women
do.
do.
What'd you say?
You'd be surprised at how many people like will just change their mind solely on that fact because they just didn't realize it was live.
I mean, yeah, and that's their choice. Like, I'm not saying that people shouldn't, like, with me being a pro-choice person, I don't believe that I'm not saying that people shouldn't, like, give birth. That's not what I believe. I just believe that it should be their choice when they give birth. Like, when they want to, when they want to give birth and when they don't want to. I don't believe anybody should be forced by the government to um, to give birth against their will. I believe it.
Would you say if someone is making the decision based on false information, such as false infant mortality statistics, such as false uh, maternal mortality statistics based on false science, like when life begins, don't you think that's like a false, like not really a decision that's being made, but more something that's being manipulated onto them?
Say that one more time. Sorry, I'm handling
Like,
something.
would you say that if a woman is making a decision based on false things like false infant mortality statistics, false maternal mortality statistics, or false information on when life begins, that's not really their decision that's being made. That's something that's being manipulated onto them. Like, I mean, if a girl is like, "Oh, I'm not going to get abortion if it's alive," like I just didn't realize it was alive, but she didn't know that, and she gets the abortion, like, was that really her decision, or was that
Well,
something
and
that
that's
was
why I say, and that's why I say
manipulated?
we need things like comprehensive sex education, because then within comprehensive sex education, they can be informed on these matters about whether or not a fetus is alive. But like, or like, yeah, whether or not a fetus is alive. Like, in my opinion, though, like, I mean, if you think a clump of cells is alive and what have you, um, like, how far do you want to go with whether or not we should get rid of things, whether or not, or when the cutoff is for when we should get rid of things simply because they are alive. Like, I think you could potentially open up some tricky situations, some tricky territory when you open that up. Like, I think, me personally, I think that, like I said, it should be her choice when and when not, whether or not she should be able to, whether or not she gets an abortion, and that is just solely up to her. I believe that people should be informed on it, and that's why a lot of the times when a woman is thinking of getting an abortion, she is often recommended, like, counseling and maybe even therapy about the issue, typically from her doctor, I believe. So, because they want to make sure that this is something that she wants to do. So, like I said, I think mainly I just think it all comes down to, like, her decision of whether or not she wants to do it. I think she should be informed on it, but at the end of the day, it's her call, in my opinion. I think it should just stay that way. Like, no one, no one wants to get an abortion because they want to kill something and they want to just snuff something out. Nobody wants to get an abortion necessarily because they just don't want the responsibility of, um, excuse me, sorry, because they don't want the responsibility of being pregnant or being a parent. Like, everybody's situation is different. So to say that we should just ban the procedure entirely, and that women should just, and that when a woman is pregnant, she should just give birth, in my opinion, that's pretty ludicrous. I think that with it
I
being,
mean, I certainly recognize that different situations are different, right? Like if a woman murders her
say the
husband,
first part again. I
that's
spoke over you. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. I understand that different situations are different, right? Like a woman murders her husband at surface level. You know, a woman murdering her husband sounds like a terrible thing. But then you break that up into two situations. One woman kills her husband because she wants insurance money. Another woman kills her husband because he was abusive and she couldn't take it anymore and she lost it and shot him. Right? Those are two very different situations. I think they should be treated entirely different. One woman can go to jail for the rest of her life, the other one can go through counseling and uh, focus solely on rehabilitation and helping her through the trauma put through her by abuse, and then also making sure she's not going to be like a violent person to anyone else, stuff like that. Right? Those are two different situations, and I recognize that's something with abortion too. Some women are like, Oh no, I don't feel like having a baby right now because I'm going to college next year and I don't want to have a baby in college, so I'm going to go get an abortion. And some are like, they may also be in abusive situations and like, oh, I don't want to have a baby with my abusive husband right now and stuff like that. So I do recognize those different situations and
Okay.
they should be handled differently. And you should, definitely focus on actually caring for and helping women. I strongly support things like charity. On my own account, there was this on my own TikTok account. I helped raise money for this girl because she just like came up on my For You page, and she was like talking about how she got pregnant and how she was pro life, and she's like, I'm in a very tough financial situation, and like out of anyone, I should be the one getting an abortion, but I'm gonna explain why I'm against it morally, and she went through that process, and so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna help save money for her to pay for the birth and stuff like that. And I think that's something that pro-lifers should focus on a lot.
Okay, so you believe
I
that
think
improving
so.
someone's hey hon, so you believe that improving people's, like I said earlier, improving people's lives and improving people's situations will actually help lower the will actually help lower abortion rates. Like that's one of those we
Yeah,
call those
yeah, for sure.
like no offense to this person and no offense to you at all. We call those what are those sad porn stories. I forget what someone called it, but basically the stories where person A life is not good and is not the best in America or is not as best as it could be, and person A has a shitty life because of it. So another person and um went and did certain action over here to raise money for that person, where really what it should be is that things such as medical bills for giving birth, etc., and healthcare should not be sky high through the roof and should not cost you your left arm and leg or whatever, and should
Yeah, I
be
mean, I'm definitely for cheaper healthcare and stuff like that. In fact, I was just at a whole entire summit put on by libertarians in New Hampshire. I actually made a video about it a little while back. It was put on by doctors and economists, and we had libertarian doctors and stuff. And the entire thing was about providing cheaper and better quality healthcare for poor people. And I definitely have a lot of ideas on that. I'm not going to go into healthcare right now because I didn't really plan on that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I do think reducing poverty and all this stuff will help lower abortion rates. But I think we can do two things at once. I think we can ban abortion and then also focus on helping people as much as possible. And
I
that's why I'm a libertarian. I believe that's the best. Like you may disagree with my economics and all that, but from what I've seen, and at least as far as my opinion goes, that's the best way to help people and the best way to give people good conditions. Like even if you disagree with that, like that's where I'm coming from.
um
Oh,
so
real quick, can I answer a question someone asked in the comments? Let me see. So this
sure.
person, there's like two people arguing with each other. I want to answer this question real quick for them. So if you punch someone, damage their organs, can you be forced to
Oh my god.
donate your organs to replace? No, you cannot. So the answer I give to that is yes, I do believe in body autonomy, and I believe the state or no one should force you to donate your organs or donate your blood or anything like that. Like if you hurt someone like that, people use this to talk about bodily autonomy. But the thing is, like, okay, so let's say you cause the damage to this person and they're gonna die or something, right? So I'm not like, oh yeah, force the person to provide their bodily fluid or whatever to heal them. Put them in handcuffs and all that. Don't do that. However, if the person dies, you're going to be charged with murder, right? But if you save them, you're not going to be charged with murder. So the reasonable thing is to save them and not be charged with murder. Like that's the answer I give to that. Anyways, yeah, back to the point. So
So
like
how do you
overall,
if
go
you
ahead.
think abortion should be banned, how do you impose we go about said ban?
Um, I would say, let me think. You either got to find some strategic way to introduce it, or you just got to go full in straight away. It kind of depends on on the exact context. I would say, like today, I think we're in a
So you really
situation
don't have a
where
way. You really don't have a way in which we can efficiently issue an abortion ban and prevent women from getting abortions?
Well, I would say the efficient way depends upon like the exact context. I would say if we did it today, the most recent statistics I saw was it's about 50-50 on abortion as far as Americans go. So I don't think there would be huge problems with if you were able to, like, if I was able to like make the decision right now, ban abortion or not, like completely, or at least in all the cases. The only exception I have is like an eviction abortion if the mother or if the mother and the baby are gonna die. I believe in eviction abortion, like if like taking the baby out and separating them and then letting the mother survive and then maybe trying to keep the fetus alive, which always isn't gonna work. But it's like if it's two lives, then you can save one. Yeah, I mean that's completely reasonable. So that would be my exception. But yeah, other than that, like completely banning abortion, I would say yes right now. I think that would be effective.
But again, like
And I
how?
think there would be a lot of protests and stuff like that at first.
Right, there would be a lot of protests because women don't not women don't want that. They want to be able to choose what goes on and what goes on with their body. So like so
But like, okay, so
so
go find.
you don't have like a surefire way as to like when we can like how we can, because I don't think that there could ever really be. Here's my thing about it. I don't think that there could ever really be like an outright abortion ban to where the woman's privacy is not affected. Like I don't think that there. I just I it just doesn't. It does not make any sense to me how you could have an outright abortion ban, um, and how you could enforce that abortion ban. Like if the whole point of the abortion ban is to stop abortions, but it doesn't stop abortions. So like, are you advocating to punish the women that get
Well,
them?
I would argue the point of a ban on something, the point of a law, is to protect rights, not to just like. I mean, the point on banning murder isn't murder will stop. The point on banning murder is you're protecting rights. If someone murders someone,
Well, I
then
mean,
you're
well, as a
punishing that
society, we
person, and you're
generally agree that murder's bad.
like I can walk outside and murder someone right now. Like there's nothing preventing me from doing that except for
Right.
my own rationality, my own reason. Like if I
Yeah.
like what's weighing the pros and cons, like breaking my own moral codes, going risking going to jail, all that stuff. Like so many things come into factor. Like it's not that I can't. I literally physically cannot do it because you can't change that. Um, and I know that like some abortions will still happen, right? Like in Tennessee, right? So this is something that I think most pro-choice people agree with. Is abortion or disagree with is abortions in the third trimester, or at least very late in the third trimester. The whole thing on like co or not really co-hanger, but hanger abortions came from the specific instance in Tennessee, and this woman was 23 weeks pregnant, and then she tried to have an abortion with a coat hanger. So this was something that like a very very large majority of Americans are against, like having abortions that late in the third trimester. And so even those laws that are seem to most people agreeable are still going to be violated. Yet I doubt that would change. I don't know if you're against that, but it's not going to change anyone's opinion on that.
Am I against like abortions in the third trimester?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not against any kind of abortion because me being a man, like that's her thing. That's just her thing.
I mean, most pro-choice people are generally against abortion that late in the third trimester.
It's up to
I would
it's up
say,
to
and I
them.
would say none of their minds would be changed because that situation happened when she was 26 months old, pregnant.
Uh, so well, in order for you to, I don't know how to how to like how to get you to answer my question, I guess. Because I'm asking like, what do you think is going to like? How would you go about enforcing the abortion ban?
If someone gets an abort, if someone gets an abortion, if someone kills a fetus or attempts to kill a fetus, that would be the same as attempting to kill like a newborn. That's what I would say. Just treat the same.
And what happens when people kill newborns? Do they get sent to jail? Do they get capital punishment? Like, I know it probably
Again, that would like depend on the like kind of going back to like the woman killing her husband thing. I guess it just depends on the context. You know, some people get longer sentences, some get shorter.
So
Depends
you
on the
believe that
exact
women should be
context.
put
Like,
in
how did they
jail?
kill their baby?
You believe that
Like, did this woman?
you believe that women that dictate whether or not their body gets to be used as a vessel, when they exercise that right to dictate that, or when they exercise the ability, because in your stance they don't, in your world they don't have that right, but when they exercise the ability to do that, they should be incarcerated?
Depends on the context, right? Like, if a woman didn't realize the baby was alive or something like that, I think you can handle that
So if she's
situation
not
differently.
educated,
It's an instant by instance thing that should be handled. Like, yeah, some people should go to jail. It just really depends.
so then what you're
Like, I mean, that's how every crime should be handled. Like, every murder, not all murders are the same. Not all instances
right.
of a woman killing her husband is the same. They should be handled on an individual basis. Am I open to the idea of certain people going to jail because of the certain abortion crimes they commit? Yes, if that's what you're asking. But I can't like make that as an objective thing. Like, all of them go to jail. If you get abortion, you're definitely going to jail.
So like you think that if a woman were to get an abortion because maybe she just doesn't feel, sorry again, drink a lot of juice. When a woman gets an abortion because she's not feeling like she is ready to become a parent, that is when she should be carted off to the slammer?
I would say that's something that's a little bit more, yeah, a little bit worse. Like, if a woman is like
So,
beat by her husband, and then she walks into the next room and is like, "I can't have this baby," and tries to commit an abortion. I don't think that's someone you should
so you think
throw in jail for the rest of their life.
yes, if she feels as though she is not ready to be a parent, so she takes the baby's life, she should be thrown in jail.
Yeah, I
That's,
would say so.
so my thing is, how do we differentiate in this case? How do we differentiate between cases? So like, let's say a woman goes in and she says she wants an abortion because really in her head she wants an abortion because she doesn't feel like she is mentally or physically ready to be a parent. That's how she feels in her head. But because you believe that, you let me ask you this: you believe that um, that women should be able to get abortions if they are assaulted, right? You believe in abortion in
No, no,
terms.
I'm talking about like handling the crime. Like, I believe that should be a crime, but I'm talking about like handling the crime. Like,
So
I don't believe like, if like your husband beat you yesterday and you come in today and just shoot him, like, that's still murder.
I'm not, but
That's
can
not
we
really a self.
focus
That's
on
not like a direct self
can
defense
we focus
case,
on
right? Like, if
can we not bring in the
what's that?
can we not bring up the hypothetical of the person being of somebody murdering their husband? Can we just stick to the fact that like we're talking about
Yeah,
abortion? So like
yeah.
my
Okay, so I still think that that's a
from
crime,
abortion.
right? And you shouldn't have like legal abortions for that. But I'm saying if a woman did like
So you believe
try to self-induce an abortion or try to seek out an abortion, that would be a crime. But you can handle like the punishment or whatever differently, like handle the aftermath differently for that person because of their situation. And that's how you do it with like any crime, really.
so so you believe that it just depends on the crime, depends on like the circumstance as to why she did it. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, as with any crime.
But my thing is, how do we tell what the circumstance was? Like, for instance, like I said, in the case that she was, raped, or in the case that she was assaulted, or let's say she wasn't assaulted and she just doesn't want to be a parent, but she goes in and says that she's assaulted. She's been assaulted. Like, how do we
Well,
differentiate? We ask
you
her.
just handle it with anything. You just handle it the same as any other crime. You investigate, see what evidence you can find on it,
Okay,
and see
but
what can stand up.
that that
That's
investigation,
the only thing you can do, really.
would you not agree that investigation would violate her privacy as a woman?
I don't think investigations into murders really violate. I mean, yeah,
But
you're
is
gonna have
not
your
everybody. The
privacy
thing is,
intruded,
you
but I
think
don't think that's really like any point to be made there on
you
my
think
side. Like, I mean, if a
you
woman like murders her newborn, you wouldn't say, "Oh, well, don't investigate that too deeply because of her privacy." No, I mean, you want to find out what happened.
the thing is like we can find out with like with something like a newborn because we could analyze the body of the newborn to see like how it came about dying. But do you get what I'm getting at here? Like how do we analyze like the reason um, a woman is deciding to get this procedure done? That's the thing. And that's why I say it's kind of tricky because you can't really. She could say that she was assaulted. She could say that she is not financially stable, or that it's going to be, or that she's got a note from her doctor that says it's going to be life threatening, whatever. But you don't like, how do
Well,
you
so
know
it's
for sure without violating her privacy and literally potentially looking up inside of that woman against her consent?
well, someone comes if someone is like, I killed my fetus. I was pregnant and I killed my fetus, but it's because I was in a desperate situation and I have an abusive husband, and this is why, right? Then they would like investigate that overall situation. Or she's like, or I got raped by this guy or something, and I didn't want to have his baby. They would investigate the situation. They would see if it's accurate. Like, okay, the baby, like she's claiming this guy raped her, right? So they go in and it's like, okay, did you rape her? Let's DNA test. Let's see if this happened. And that would be pretty easy at that point.
But
You
again,
have
like
direct DNA.
in order to do that, you would most likely have to like get up like inside.
Yeah, I mean the same. If a woman is like, I was raped last night, then you would have to do the same thing. Like it's something you have to do to protect people. Like I mean, it may sound
Not
uncomfortable. It's just
not
describing
once.
it, but that's something
Like
that you have to do.
you don't like always have to like do
I
that.
mean, if you want to get the person who did it, then yeah,
Eh,
or know they did it at least.
it would I believe it would depend here and there, but
I mean, unless you had like video evidence or something like that, then you wouldn't have to.
right. But my thing is that it's just gonna be too slippery of a slope to be able to determine like why or when she did it because again like or why she wants it done basically because again it's her, like I said, it's her body, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I mean, if you're investigating a murder, like
but
things
again
are just
the thing
different.
is but the thing is like not everybody believes that abortion is murder. Like, I don't believe that abortion is murder because it doesn't fall under the very definition of the word murder. I don't believe
All right,
that.
I live across the street from a fire department.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I don't believe that abortion is murder. I believe that abortion is healthcare, and I don't believe that uh, I don't believe that it fits the definition of the word murder. I believe that people who call it murder are doing that for shock factor and do that to, in a way, demonize women.
Well, I mean, there's different definitions. I'm not going to go into like a definition debate. I don't think that there's much point.
Well, I mean, you think it's murder,
I don't
right?
think there's a whole lot of. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of points going with this particular topic. But
Well,
I think I have like one more topic that
that's fine.
I.
That's fine. We can. I mean, I still want to go back to. I want to know why you think that debating whether talking about whether or not abortion is whether or not abortion fits the description of something that is murder. But what's your other topic?
Discrimination in abortions. So,
What do you mean?
like the other day, I made a video talking about like the Civil Rights Act, and I was talking about how I value consent more than anti-discrimination. You would be someone that kind of disagrees with that.
Oh, completely.
You value
100%.
saying, "Oh, you can't discriminate against this person, and we're gonna step in to keep you from being racist or being sexist or whatever." So let me see. So in the United States each year, about 6,000 babies with Down syndrome are born. Statistics on people with Down syndrome, nearly 99% of people with Down syndrome indicated that they were happy with their lives, which is a lot. That's a very, very positive group of people. 97% liked who they are, 96% liked how they look. So people with Down syndrome aren't miserable people who are in pain and stuff like that. Very happy, very nice people. There's no reason to stop these people from living. But over 70% of babies with Down syndrome in the US are aborted because people specifically seek out to abort babies with Down syndrome because they don't want to raise babies who have disabilities. Even though, like I said, they're better off basically, like as far as happiness goes, they're better off definitely than the average people. So there really doesn't seem to be any reason, any logical reason whatsoever to do that. But this is just blatant discrimination. And not only this, well, even worse than this discrimination and basically eugenics is that in some of these tests, it's a 50% chance of getting a wrong diagnosis. In some, it's a 20% chance that it's wrong. The lower ones, or the best ones, 20% chance it's wrong. That means 20% of these abortions that are for like a Down syndrome baby, they don't even have Down syndrome. So they're like, oh, I just want to have this abortion because they have Down syndrome. And then they end up killing another child who doesn't have Down syndrome anyways. So both of those things are very bad. And like your stance on being against discrimination, like how do you justify this?
Are you comparing discrimination of people of color to discrimination on whether or not parents choose to undergo
the eugenics against people with Down syndrome?
Yeah, the very trying and very difficult task, very difficult, trying, and expensive task that will
Eugenics.
be. Um,
it's just one word.
Down syndrome. Say one more time.
It's just one. It's just one word. Eugenics.
So,
like, it is discrimination, is it not? It's discrimination against disabled people.
I mean, yeah, you could say that's discrimination, but again, like that's up to those parents. Honestly, it's up to them.
I mean, so how is it not up to me to discriminate with my labor on who I want to give my labor to,
at the end of the day,
compared to me wanting to discriminate against an entire group of people and euthanize them out of existence?
Okay, so like
I mean, one seems substantially worse to me.
So let me get this straight. You think that a parent deciding, hey, I don't want to undergo the the very like expensive, difficult, trying thing that could be raising a child with a disability. You think that that is on par with telling someone who is black, I don't serve your kind.
I think eugenicizing. I think eugenics are worse than general racism. Yes.
A woman deciding. We'll get back on the eugenics thing later, but a woman deciding at the end of everything, just deciding whether or not to give her body to something else, that is comparable to you to being able to discriminate against fully developed people solely off of the base of their skin tone, sexuality, etc.
Yeah, I mean, that's still your labor and your body autonomy, is it not?
Well, see, body autonomy, that really focuses on things such as medical procedures and governing what actually happens to your body. So, like for instance, the bodily autonomy is basically like what I many other pro-choicers have been saying. The government can't tell you you have to carry a baby. The government can't tell you that you have to donate your kidney to someone else. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what you're referring to when you talk about body.
A business saying I'm not going to serve you because of the fact that you are black. That's not bodily autonomy. That's just discrimination and racism. But a woman deciding,
I mean, it's personal autonomy and therefore bodily autonomy. Like
no, that's
it's
not.
autonomy of your mind, it's autonomy of your body. It's you having ownership over yourself and ownership over your labor.
But
That's what
again,
it
that's
is.
not. But again, bodily autonomy is again the ability to discern what happens with your body. Mainly, it usually is
And
used.
by the way, like real quick, like when you're saying, oh, you think like this is comparable, like not serving someone because they're black, comparable to uh, not to aborting a baby because they have Down syndrome. I would say, like I said, that's worse. But also, if you're aborting a baby because they're black, that's worse than not serving someone because they're
I
black.
was gonna
I think
abort.
it's worse in both cases because I think killing is worse
I know what a
and
difference.
eugenics are worse.
Who the hell is who is actually going to debate to abort a baby? I mean, I can understand maybe if like
I
you
mean,
were.
yeah, that's not really something that can technically. I mean, it can sort of like that's why I didn't really bring that up
Okay.
as a point because
Uh,
that's not really
okay.
a
Okay.
thing. But
Anyways,
sex is one is a big thing. A lot of Asian countries, specifically India, they discriminate against women in abortions.
yeah.
Most of the abortions are females, and so they have like a situation where they're aborting most of their females, and they have like a surplus of males in India, which is sort of where a lot of issues with like the whole like I don't know if you know like the whole meme with like the pervert Indian men. That's kind of where that comes from because Indian men have like such a lack of women in their lives because they just kill all of the females before they're born, which is blatant discrimination. And that's something that happens among Asian Americans in the US as well.
Do you think that people will see that they're gonna have a boy or a girl, and because it's not the preferred sex that they want, that they'll go ahead and abort it? I've
Yeah.
never heard
Yeah,
of
that
that
happens.
happening here in America ever. I've never heard of
Oh,
that.
it does
I've
happen.
only,
Like I mean,
I've
you
heard of
could probably
country dudes. I ran into country dudes that will have 6 kids because they kept trying to have a boy, but I have never heard a single person. I have never heard of a single person in America, or at least I have never heard of it like on a gigantic scale of people in America legitimately aborting simply because of the sex of their child.
so this is called sex selective abortion specifically.
Oh,
So you can find lots of articles. Like
so
I said, it's mostly well known in like China and India, but it does happen
you're talking
in the
about.
US, mostly among like Chinese and Indians. Because they're still bringing their culture over, and some of them still.
Anyways, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and bring this back. What is your what is the point that you're trying to convey? You're trying to convey to me that someone being able to discriminate. Why is it that someone can discriminate with abortion, even though it was not a claim that I originally ever made? Why is it that it's okay for somebody to do that because their child might come out undesirable to them, but someone can't
Well,
discriminate
legal. Because it's not. I don't believe it's okay to discriminate based on race serving people either, but I believe it should be
I
legal.
mean,
So we're talking about
could have
legality.
fooled me, but that's great.
So I
So
think neither is okay.
okay, that again could have fooled me, but fine. So, um, but you think that the two? I'm just really confused how you see these two as comparable because I don't see these two as comparable. I don't at
Well,
all. Like I said,
because you basically said that you view anti-discrimination as more important than like someone's own decisions of who like they want to associate, what they want to do with
listen,
their labor. But then when it comes to abortion, you're like, oh no, in this case, it is their personal decision to say, yes,
hey,
I'm going
yeah,
to annihilate people with Down syndrome from the entire planet and annihilate an entire group of oppressed people from the entire planet, which is exactly what's happening to people with Down syndrome. In most countries, 100% of fetuses with Down syndrome are aborted. That is an entire group of people who's being annihilated from the planet, practically genocide, and nobody cares. And I think that's something that's very important. People should care about that. And I just think it seems ridiculous to say,
I
oh,
mean,
I think the government should come in and arrest someone for saying, I'm not going to walk out and bring out this egg roll to a black person because I don't like him. and I'm a mean, nasty person, you think that person should be punished. But annihilating an entire group of people is bad, but should be legal. That's what I'm saying.
So then you do understand that I could then take your knowledge, your logic, and flip it back on itself and say that a woman should be able to discriminate against like what kind of child she wants to give birth to, right?
Well, no, because I'm against all abortion, so it doesn't work.
Well, yeah, and I'm against all forms of discrimination. Like I don't think.
Well, you're not against all forms of serving people. If you were like, oh, you're not allowed to serve people food, and then I was like, oh, well, what about when you're discriminating against serving people food? Like that just doesn't make any sense. I'm against all abortion, so it just doesn't fit. You can't turn that around. Like, you literally can't turn that around.
I'm against discrimination in all forms. But again, if whether or not a woman decides to give birth, that's her issue. Because see, the thing is, like, again, if you believe in bodily autonomy, which you said you did, if you believe in bodily autonomy, then her autonomy would trump would trump the baby and the baby being born. But again, like I've said before, bodily autonomy does not extend past governing one's physical, actual body, organs, etc. It's literally not about whether or not you decide to it's literally not about whether or not you decide to punch somebody or not serve somebody. That's not what it. It's
okay. Can I ask, I don't want to interrupt you, but can I ask a question that's related to this?
Sure, go ahead.
So, like in the case of slavery, is that not a violation of body autonomy, even though you're not like doing something?
Because the thing is, but see, here's the thing. Like, I'm getting really tired of a lot of white people for some reason comparing abortion to slavery. Like, I don't understand why you guys.
I'm not. I'm talking about like you're talking about like body. I'm talking about body autonomy.
Wait,
like,
hold on. It's not a violation. Actually, hold on. It's not a violation of bodily autonomy necessarily. Actually, yes, it was because slave masters would often get black women pregnant against their consent, would violate.
Well, yeah, but like, I'm talking about like slavery in itself. Like me, I own someone and I say you have to do this.
That was a part of slavery. A part of that. That was a part of slavery.
But I mean, just slavery in of itself. Like, I believe slavery is wrong and must be illegal because it's a violation of someone's self-ownership, no matter what. Doesn't matter if you rape them. Doesn't matter if what you do. Just the act of slavery in of itself. Like, no matter how well you treat your slave, anything like that, it's always wrong because it's a violation of their self-ownership. And it's obviously some of it's more morally wrong, but like just slavery.
What was the comparison here? What was your comparison here with bringing up slavery?
Well, I wasn't comparing anything. I was asking you because you were talking about like bodily autonomy, and I wanted to know like why you think slavery is wrong as far as like bodily autonomy. Like if you think it's wrong because of bodily autonomy, or because
I think slavery is wrong not just because of bodily autonomy, but because of the fact that you are literally forcing someone to do something. You are forcing someone to do hard, back-breaking work and belittling them. You're doing that against their will. They did not consent to that, and they had the ability to give you their consent or not. That's why
I don't care like how hard the work is. Like if you're having someone like
it doesn't matter.
Type out 2 words a day and they're your slave, I believe that's wrong.
You're literally asking me why is slavery wrong, and I'm telling you that it's because of the fact that you have somebody against their will doing something also against their will. I mean, if you want to,
okay, good.
Like you're forcing women to give birth against their will.
Good. That's what I was trying to get to. Like, so, like, because you were saying, like, oh, it's wrong because of hard work. Like, I disagree that it's wrong because of hard work. I believe it's wrong no matter how hard the work is.
The hard work part. I just said that to be descriptive.
So that's what I was trying to get to. I was trying to dig all the way down to like the bottom. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Which is what you just said. You said it's because it violates someone's consent because you're doing, which is what I agree with that. That's why we're against it for the same essential reasons. But then this goes all the way back to you being inconsistent on the position of forcing someone to labor for someone they don't want to because they can't discriminate against that person.
So are you arguing that someone having to do labor for someone that they don't want to is slavery because slavery was someone doing labor for someone that they don't want to? Are you sure
I'm
this is
not saying it is slavery, but I'm saying it's wrong for the same reason. Because I mean, slavery essentially means like you own them.
we
So
completely
you know that's just semantics, but I believe it's wrong for the same reason.
so
If that makes sense.
sorry. So you I'm trying to see if I have everything lined up and everything in its proper every duck in its row and what have you. So you think that someone should be able did you or did you not compare someone working for someone, doing labor for someone against their will to slavery? Having to serve someone
No,
against their will, slavery. Is that what you
no,
compare?
I said they're wrong. No, I said they're wrong for the same reason. There's a lot of things that are wrong for the
So
same
you've
reason.
made it. So
There's a
you've
lot
made
of
a
things that are
comparison.
wrong.
So you've made a comparison. You is that's what you've done.
No,
You've made a comparison. That is literally a
no,
comparison. That is
no.
literally a comparison. Like
Comparing things and saying they're wrong for the same reason isn't the same thing. Like you're not comparing the actions, you're comparing why they're wrong.
so why are they wrong?
Which because they both violate consent and self
They
ownership.
both violated consent. Okay. So do you not
Like I
understand?
mean, like you're the one that said that it's wrong because it violates consent. So how is the other thing not violating consent? Like you're the one who kind of dug yourself
One is
into that hole.
violating
This
consent
is wrong.
because
Slavery is wrong because it's violating consent. Abortion is wrong because it's violating consent. But also you can force people to work for people they don't want to, or to hire people they don't want to, even if it violates consent because of anti-discrimination. But also you can't violate consent in abortion if it is for anti-discrimination. It's just like three or four
so
uh, contradictions in there.
it's actually not. I don't think you understand how um these two things are things that you cannot compare, but yet you're denying that you're comparing them because see,
I'm not comparing the actions in of
you
themselves,
not
right? Like,
understand.
okay, if I like steal your pen against your consent, like I believe it's wrong because I broke your consent. But also, if I enslave you, I'm breaking your consent. And it's wrong because I'm breaking your consent. Obviously, stealing a pen is not something that's comparable to slavery. They're not even close to being on the same level. But they're wrong for some of this, at least some of the
You do
same
understand.
reasons.
You do understand that if white people never discriminated against black people to begin with, the Civil Rights Act would have never had to have been passed. Like that's
Yeah, I think that if we never would have had,
like we're the only country I
if
believe
we
that
never would have,
has an act like that
if
has something
white,
like the
if
Civil Rights Act. You do understand that,
I
right?
think if we would have had slavery and if we never would have had
I'm
Jim Crow
pretty sure
laws, then
we are
yeah,
the.
like I'm
I'm,
against Jim Crow laws and slavery too.
I'm pretty sure that we are the only country in the world that has something like the Civil Rights Act, and we had that
No,
because of
no,
the.
no, 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 not even close.
Oh, so other countries have it.
Yeah, most countries have anti-discrimination laws.
Okay, but they have discrimination laws based off of race, sex, gender, etc. I don't think so because, as we discussed earlier with
At
India,
least most Western countries.
huh?
At least most Western countries.
Okay, most Western countries, fine, but not every country. So, and the reason why those laws are in place is because things happened in history to where to where those things happening were detrimental to other people.
Right, and I wish those things didn't happen either, because those things also
Right,
violated
but see, the
consent.
thing is, that law is amending the thing that happened to those people. That is what that law. That is what that law attempts to amend what happened to those people and what happened to those marginalized people. Because if that law was not enacted, then there would still be people that would literally. Let me ask you this: do you think that it should be okay for hospitals to discriminate against people based off of race, sex, gender, etc.?
Well, a hospital isn't an individual, so
But
you would either have the
it's a
hospital
service.
owner or a doctor
It's a
discriminating. And
service,
if
and there are some private hospitals, and it's a
yeah, I mean,
service.
I believe a doctor, a nurse, or a hospital owner should be able to say, I don't want to provide my service to certain people because I don't
So
want to.
so when a gay person is bleeding out internally, they have the luxury to go shop for a hospital because hospitals all of a sudden, like Christ hospitals and shit, all of a sudden just are like we don't serve your kind. Go ahead and die somewhere else. So they should just go shopping around
I
the hospital when they're bleeding out.
I just don't believe this is something that would happen. So it doesn't really
But
matter.
you don't believe that because you are not a member of a minority or a marginalized group because these things do
How do
happen.
you know that?
Huh?
How do you know that?
Or
That's a bold assumption to make.
let me say let me put it this way: you don't pass. You don't. You're white passing. Let me say that. I am
Oh.
sorry, but you are very white passing.
I mean,
So
very interestingly enough, the white side of my family came to America as slaves, and I'm not taking the Irish slavery thing. The Acadians were enslaved by the British, and they were brought
yeah,
over as
the,
slaves.
the,
So it's
the
a
point is
massive thing.
the point is you now because of the fact that you are a white passing person, you you do understand that you get certain privileges that other people don't get, which is why you can imagine that that thing is not going to happen to you. But the thing is, to someone like me, a black person, or someone like my cousin's fiance who is trans, who is a trans from female to male. Like these are things that if something like the Civil Rights Act were to be repealed, these are things that we would have to worry about.
No, it's because I look at the actual evidence.
What do you
Like I think evidence. I think overall evidence is more important than like just anecdotal.
what do you mean? What do you mean? What evidence is telling you that this would not happen? Because I have evidence that
Like looking at the past, like discrimination among doctors, and even looking today, like today you can find some
you do
evidence of.
understand. You do understand that for the longest time, where a lot of the anti-abortion, where a lot of the anti-abortion propaganda comes from, is actually it actually has racist roots.
Anti-abortion propaganda
Yeah, a
has
lot of
racist roots.
anti-abortion propaganda actually has racist roots. I recently studied up on that.
How so?
So what would happen is there were back before and somewhat after the Civil War, there were midwives, and the majority of like over like half of the midwives typically were black. And what happened was they would perform things like abortion, and white men did not like the fact that black women were doing these things or thought that they were capable of doing these things. They didn't like that, and they use things such as anti-abortion propaganda and racist smearing to make monopolies on women's bodies and to reap the benefits of what these black women had originally been doing. So, like, I mean,
Yeah, I've not really heard of that. In fact, from what I've
and
seen,
that's
like
fine. You know, we learn something new every
this,
day. I want to go ahead and wrap this up because it's Friday. I got. Sorry, but I have other things I'd rather do.
yeah,
Um,
that's fine.
but
I mean, but Margaret Sanger literally started Planned Parenthood like for the purpose of eugenics with
yeah,
black people. Now, Margaret
I'm not
Sanger was
denying that. I'm not denying that. But what does
yeah,
Planned
like
Parenthood do today?
this isn't really an argument. Like, I mean, like even if that was true, like I mean, that's a bad reason to be anti-abortion, but it doesn't change my stance on abortion.
And that's fine. I'm not saying. I'm just letting you know. You know, it's just me passing knowledge on to you. Just like there were some things that you passed on to me today, and I'm thankful for that. But uh, like I was saying with like I knew that Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist and what have you. But if I remember correctly, before I get off of here, because I think we're done. Antifa Cog made a video where you actually cited a someone who was a known eugenicist or had a lot of eugenicist ideology and a lot of eugenicist propaganda and stuff on their page. So I find it
Well, Sean Lass is a statistician, and in his political beliefs, he believes in eugenics, and he's pro-abortion,
so
and that's where this
why
eugenics come in. Uh, and there's lots of different researchers who have different varying beliefs. Like I cited the Guttmacher Institute, which comes from people who are pro-abortion, pro-eugenics in certain ways, right? Like data, like I mean, unless you can actually show that the person's political beliefs or personal beliefs or morals are actually affecting how they're gathering data and stuff like that, then that's where it comes into play, right? But overall, I mean, I don't really, if I'm collecting data, I don't really worry about like the person's morals. I mean, if I did that, then it would be very hard for any of us to find data
I
because, I
mean,
mean,
the thing is, though,
especially in academia.
if someone
Like,
has
I
an
mean, real quick. I don't want to interrupt, but like, real quick, just one more point to make on that, and then I'll let you continue. A lot of the early gender research comes from people who are very much pro pedophilia. And actually, I'm pretty sure Antifa Cog actually addressed this in a video before, which is very ironic because someone was like, John Money. John Money got these little boys to take their clothes off and he would take pictures of them in gross ways. And he was one of the biggest guys in early gender research, and people still cite his research today. And someone brought this up and he's like, oh, this doesn't matter. You know, like, I mean, it's bad. Like, he's a bad person and this stuff is bad, but this doesn't mean his research is wrong, which is very ironic that Antifa Cog would try to criticize me for that. And I'm pretty sure he just did that because he was mad that I blocked him. Because the reason I blocked him was because I believe he's bad faith, and I was just getting tired of having to see all these bad faith videos responding to me, and I was just trying to focus more on like kind of cultivating my audience, because I was watching a video where a guy was talking about like trying to get all the people who aren't really gonna listen to you out of your audience and focusing on the people who will actually listen to you is very important. So I've been blocking people a lot more lately, actually, for that reason. But anyways, so yeah, like I think he was just mad at me because he kind of contradicted his own beliefs on that. But the data itself was good. Sean Last is a good statistician.
Okay, anyways, so my block list is actually I recently cleaned it out because I don't believe, me personally, I don't believe in letting people have so much power over me to where I block them, and I also can just ignore, delete comments, just don't respond. But anyways, if you block, like, that's you do you.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on like specifically like what. And my idea is, my goal is to mostly introduce people to my various ideologies, whether that be capitalism, anti-abortion, whatever. Like, I want to introduce people to that, and views. Like, if it's a bunch of people that aren't going to listen to me and are just going to be annoying, like getting those views. If I block them, those views are going to go to someone else, and they'll give that person a chance to be listening or not. So that's kind of why I do it. But you know, like I don't think, I'm not going to say, oh, you should block people or you shouldn't.
Well, see, I don't necessarily, I don't necessarily always view people as like, my thing is this. Wouldn't that technically, if you block someone simply because like they're getting on your nerves, like just because you don't like their point, wouldn't that make you creating an echo chamber for yourself? I think so.
Well, no,
I
I
think
would. It depends. Like in my case, I don't think I'm creating an echo chamber because I'm not trying to weed out people who disagree with me.
that's
I'm
fine.
weeding out people who
Um,
won't listen to me. That's what I'm weeding out.
that
People disagree with me in my comments all the time, and I'm happy to talk to them and let them keep like I have regular commenters who comment on every single one of my videos, disagreeing every single time, but I
so
know that I can talk to them and
so
they'll
was it the
listen.
fact that Antifa Cog just that Antifa Cog kept making videos? You probably wouldn't have blocked him if he just commented, right?
Yeah, and I've also like the videos aren't the full context. I've also
That's
talked to him in
fine.
DMs, and I've like, hey, you made this video on me. I just want to address like this thing you made because I don't want to bother making a whole video response. And then he would just kind of ignore what I would say and then just kind of dismiss. I'm like, here's all this evidence, and he would just be very dismissive of me, and I just didn't like that. And like his video that he made on fat phobia, where he was like talking about the research and stuff, like, and I went and I read it, and I was like, it just doesn't seem like you actually bothered like looking into what this research is and whether or not it applied
Speaking of
and
which,
stuff like that.
why is it that you were willing to debate me on abortion when that was the second thing that I said I wanted to debate you on, but you denied wanting to debate me on bullying, fat phobia, etc.? I'm just
I
curious.
mean, I just don't really see like where that would be a productive conversation. Like my position is just like I mean, I don't believe in like absolutely bullying people and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm fine with making fat jokes occasionally, and I don't think people should be shamed for making a fat joke. Like I don't think I should
That's
walk
bullying.
up to people and be like,
That,
"Oh,
that's
you big
literally
fat
bullying.
lard, blah blah blah, go
Ben,
lose weight, blah
that's
blah blah." I
literally
never
bullying.
do that.
That's literally bullying. Pointing out someone's weight and shaming them for it, or making a negative remark about that, that is bullying. that is legitimate bullying and it's
No, I
dangerous.
mean, okay, but like I don't see like a problem with making occasional fat jokes as
Okay,
long like I
that
don't see in any way like making a fat joke related to like communism, like doing the communism food fat joke,
but
like
it
how that's going to negatively affect anyone.
well because again you're talking about their weight, and a lot of people who tend to be bigger because of things like what you did tend to be sensitive about their weight. But you know, I think I've gotten all that I need tonight. I enjoyed it, but it's Friday. I want to do some Friday things,
Yeah,
so I'm gonna
yeah, me
let you
too.
go. You have a good one.